What's up, everybody? Ian Walsh here, Hard Money Bankers. Joined my partner today, Ryan Walsh, Hard Money Bankers. Ryan, what's going on?
Yo, it's been a minute.
So it's not just us. I believe Aaron Bashir will be joining us in 10 minutes or so, or maybe less, to discuss the political campaign. So he's running for U.S. Congress. So what's new, right? Halloween?
Halloween is not new.
You dressed up as a hard money banker?
Yes, this is my costume for the day.
That's your costume?
Yeah, everyone's asking me, what are you dressing up as? I'm like, me?
An HMB, yeah. I was gonna say I dress up as a hard money banker every day. Literally, all my entire attire is just HMB, and that's just sheer laziness. Like, because it's just sheer laziness. So I think that what we'll have is a good discussion here, because I think we're at a time right now with elections being like really important for people. I guess we say that every time there's an election, like this is the election everybody's got to vote for, and everybody's got to vote and this, that. But I don't know. What's your take on it? You think this is particularly more important? I mean, I think right now we don't have whoever's, our president right now doesn't know what day of the week it is. So we probably need to shift some things around. What's your take on how important?
Well, it's not the presidential election, right? It's
No, right. But we need to. I think what people are trying to do is sway everything back to the direction of. Because I feel like we went from all right. So we had the reaction, right? We had Trump on the right side. Everybody who's an extreme right wing, brought out all the enthusiasts, right? That swung back hard. The pendulum swung back hard to the left side. We're now like left. The hard left is equally villainized in publicity now. So now it's like bad to be hard left. It was bad to be hard right. Now it's bad to be hard left. So like, is it somewhere in the middle? I don't know. What do you think?
I think as a normal human being, we want something in the middle. However, I think it's intentional that we keep somebody really far right or really far left in it. So it constantly sways back and forth. So you're always keeping a two-party system in play.
You never have unity, is what you're telling me?
No. Because as soon as you add unity, then other candidates could come in. That makes sense.
And so society can unite.
You have to constantly be saying, yeah, but if you vote the other way, it's going to go even worse. So it's, people say this isn't a fair comparison, and I say, I disagree, because I always say, you're telling me I need to vote for Hitler or Stalin every election. It's like, can I not pick two evil people, right?
Like, yeah, two people that I don't want to pick from.
And they say, well, if you vote for that person, it's like, don't give me that. How about I pick somebody who I think is going to make a difference in the world? How about that?
Yeah, I think more importantly, though, what would Kanye say?
It's very important, and we should
or maybe what we need to do is see what Kanye would say on Twitter, because now the big news with Elon Musk coming in and opening the floodgates to free communication, hopefully free communication, and hopefully there's not a side agenda, but nonetheless, I think it's a pretty good step in the direction of like, people having the power back to speak. It'll be ridiculous. Like, there'll be some ridiculous stuff that people will just go. Things will be said that people will go bonkers on. I don't know if you saw Elon Musk post about the Pelosi situation. Have you seen
Not
this?
Yet. No.
He just came out with it. He was like, so he's like challenging the fact that Nancy Pelosi's husband, like the whole call, he's like, it looks kind of like there's some pieces here that haven't been answered. And they were like, and I guess because like Hillary Clinton said that it was, it's a bunch of conspiracy garbage. And Elon Musk was like, well, it's not really conspiracy when X, Y, and Z happens. Like, there's real things that need to be answered. And then he was just like, straight up, he was just like, her husband was there with a male prostitute and was intoxicated. There's more questions we need to know. We need answers to, like, because they were trying to make it just seem like somebody broke in the house and attacked, and then like they try to make it seem like right-wing Republicans are making it into conspiracy theorists. And Elon Musk is like, okay, this is what happened. This is clearly what happened. Did you read the rundown on it or no?
No, but I think the point like you bring up here is we're in such an interesting time right now where information is just, it's a free-for-all, whether it's real or not. Nobody knows. You can't verify anything.
You really can't.
People choose to believe what aligns with their beliefs,
Yeah.
right? But you can't actually verify it. And, you know, people are saying, no, facts are facts. Like, honestly, any fact you throw at me, there's an equal and opposite counterfact to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's
both have the
true.
same substance in terms of how truthful they are. So I actually kind of get both sides. I get why people would say you shouldn't have free speech, essentially, right? And then you get the side saying you should have free speech. There's pros and cons kind of to both, in all honesty. I think not free speech, though, has more cons, personally.
Yeah, and it is true. Like the misinformation, disinformation, deep state, fake state, blah blah blah, like all that. You're just like, I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect in the agenda of just making it all. So you're like, okay, we have no more control over the information. So what do? Flood the information. Just flood it, right? So everything's got
begging for a dam to be built.
Yeah, you have no idea what's real and what's not. And I think it's just really like, you know, I think you had said this, which is, you know, the real skill set or the real thing that people are going to have to use is their own moral compass or their own inner guidance to decipher what they believe is real and what isn't, because you're just we're all on a different planet right now. I don't know if everybody feels this way as like we do, but like sometimes you bump into people that you're just like, I don't think we're really on not the same page, like the same, like in the same dimension anymore. You know,
right.
You're like, we are not. I say something and you don't hear it, or you say something and I don't hear it. And that's like a change that's happened. I don't know if it's since COVID, if it's been coming, just a shift in consciousness has been crazy. And politically, I think it just shreds it, just rips it apart even more.
Amplifies it, right?
What's that?
Amplifies it.
Yeah, amplifies it and pronounces it. Like you say, amplify is a good word for it, but I don't really know what to make of that in its own right, because you know, the next big election, everybody's like, is Trump going to run again? And it's like, it's just going to polarize the world even more. It's not, whoever gets in isn't going to solve everybody's problems. I can tell you this much, 100%, with 100% certainty, there's going to be problems that they're not going to be solved, because if the next president was the president for the past billion presidents, that would happen. But every time you have a new president, it goes, okay, this is the one that's going to solve all of our problems. What we need to do is solve our own problems and not worried about the elected officials solving our problems. And I mean, I say solve our own problems, I don't mean in necessarily a violent way. I mean in like take responsibility for our actions and do the right things to your neighbor, and you know, go to the 10 Commandments. You live by those, and I'm not religious, but go to the 10 Commandments, and if you live by them, the whole world is fine. You know, like
they're decent rules. I mean, honestly, the 10 Commandments is kind of just like a lot of religions have like a
version of it,
right? Yeah. You're just referring to one that you're aware of, right? But
right,
whatever your religion is, you probably have some sort of guidelines, and in the end, they all point back to saying, just, you know, be nice to each other, right?
Be a good person. Like, be a good person. Yeah. I don't need a politician to tell me that.
Right.
Now, it does help. It does help, though. You know, I enjoy cheering for politicians that I believe are morally sound. You know, like we had Sam on the show, and Sam is he just actually announced his councilman at large. I'm not really even sure what that means, but that was what Alan Dom was. Now Alan Dom's running for governor. But like, you know, Sam's a good guy, right? So I'm just like, I don't really even know. I mean, I get what you stand for. Like, I've seen some of this stuff. That's great. I don't even care if you accomplish it, because you're a good person.
Right.
And it's better than, you know, the alternative, which is not a good person. Like, I'd rather have a good person who doesn't align with what I think should be done, but is still a good person, than I would somebody.
Then you can trust it. You can trust the intention and the ethics behind it, and that it's eventually going to find the right place, and that you're not worried about somebody just doing this for money or for power, right? Because that's when bad things, when I say bad, I mean detrimental to society things.
Or the personal agendas start entering the picture.
Yeah, I mean, we've really teed this up for Bashir here. Gosh,
well, he's going to be the knight in shining armor. He's going to be the knight in shining armor when he gets on, because, you know, and I anticipate him being just like a true guy. Like, I know he's Republican, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that he's a good person, and that's who you vote for. So let's, you know, I didn't invite him on. I invited him on the show because it was, he's a local politician. I didn't invite him on the show to say like people can make their own judgments on him. So I assume and hope that he says, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm running for, and people tend to look at me as a good person, and that's what and here's what I'm going to do as a good person. This is what I intend on doing moving forward. I have morals. I have, because right now nobody trusts a politician. Like you don't, unfortunately. It is what it is. That's the general perception. So it's up to the politician to then break that mold. Sam's a great one. I've partially because I say Sam because I know Sam. Like I've interacted with Sam way before he was in politics. So and he was just a good dude. Like there was no games with him. He's just a good guy. So I'm like, whatever this guy does, I'm going to get on side with, right, wrong, or indifferent. And I assume because he's aligned with Bashir that we cut from the same cloth. And I'd love for him to hopefully get on here soon and be able to discuss that.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, because I was just thinking when you said we had somebody running for Congress. I was like, all right, let me think of some questions, right? And I was just thinking, like, man, I have no idea if he's in the real estate world, but a politician has to be, in a way, a jack of all trades, or at least be able to speak to it, but whether they actually are or not, because everybody has their own concerns, right? Like we're going to be focused on real estate. He may not know anything about real estate, right? But I still need to hear from him saying, hey, what's your, like, the market's shifting. Are you going to be planning on doing anything? And his answer might be no, right? But he at least has to be aware of it. And I'm just thinking he has to do that probably for literally thousands of topics, right?
Yeah, I think you got to choose the one that you probably choose the topics to fight for that you think are going to sway the most people.
True.
Right? Because you can't know them all, but you're also not going to have to know. You're not going to think, okay, like if there's like this tiny minority of people, I might be able to sway 3 of them, but that's not going to put me in office. And I get that natural tendency, right? So you got to choose like the big ones, the biggest problems, that affect the most amount of people, which is fine because the whole point is to represent the majority of people. So choose those topics wisely. But I agree, there has to be a handful of them that you have to become pretty close to an expert at, which is hard to do. Like you're not going to, like, if you're going to do real estate and you're going to talk to us, like, how in depth do you really want to go? Because we're going to be the experts in that field, especially locally. Like, you're not going to really find people that are going to know more in the investment field than us. And so I don't know, what level they have to know that at. That's a good question. Like, do you have to know how to underwrite a deal? What do you have to know?
I mean, even in real estate, if something comes up, like we'll be the first to be like, I'm really not the expert there, so I'd rather not answer. Right? You can't say that as a politician, right? You have to come up with some way.
Well, did you see that recent ad with Featherman and Oz that they took from that's basically what happened?
Go for it. I don't know what you're referring to.
So I don't know. Whatever. So you're either, voting for Dr. Oz or you're voting for John Featherman in Pennsylvania. Like that's like the big campaign running right now. Well, I guess they had a debate like last week, and I think Featherman, I don't even know say, he had like a stroke at some point in life. So I don't know. Not during the debate, prior. Okay. So I don't know if this had to do with the way they clipped it or whatever. But they asked him, like, they're like, in 2017, you said no to fracking. And this is like the commercial now. They pulled this from the debate. You said no to fracking. And then they're like, and now you say yes to fracking. Like, and he was just like, the way he responded was, I don't know. I didn't watch it. I don't know if it was because he was having trouble speaking because of his stroke or if it was because he was just totally at a loss for words. But either way, it was one of those things that you're just like, you have to choose what you think you're going to fight for and be an expert in, and then stand by it. And it just was like, they teed it up. And honestly, I think if it was, he couldn't find his words because of his stroke, I think that's horrible to have done it that way. If you couldn't find your words because you realized that 4 years ago you stood for one thing and now you stand for another, that's a different thing. But I don't know. But you have to be an expert in fracking, and you're and they're gonna ask you questions about fracking, and then they're gonna ask you questions about real estate 5 minutes later, right?
Yeah, I mean, not for me, right? Like it takes a certain kind of person to jump into the arena. the political arena. It's kind of sad that I even refer to it as an arena, but that is where we are, right?
Yeah. Carry for 1 sec.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully we get Bashir coming on here soon. If anybody has any questions, just in general, like what does somebody running for Congress have to do? Just post the comments in there. We'll be happy to ask him for you. Um, Ian and I try to keep it as non-political as possible in regards to, what's your stance on X, Y, and Z. We always focus on business and the local area, and what it means to the people, and what they kind of represent as a person. I think that's always our goal. So we're not here to make it a political debate or anything like that. That's not what you're going to get from the show today.
Cool. Yeah. I just shot him a message to see if he was jumping on. Interestingly enough, which is good to hear, he's not a career politician. He's working. So he had to, when he was going to stop working, he was going to jump on the show with us. So I think it was working, like actual job. I don't think he's a career politician, but he says he's coming on now. So we'll ask. We'll just just talk to him. Just let him know we're very, very transparent. And I'm honestly, I think I know where people are going to come from. Everybody we've had on the show, which is interesting, has been authentic, and I don't see this going to be any different. And there's Aaron. There he is. Hey, Aaron, how are you?
Hello, everyone.
Hey,
how are
Aaron.
you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so sorry. I was just got kind of like at my lunch break, so I thought, let me join in.
That's okay. This is my partner, Ryan Walsh. He's with us, and we've just been chatting for the past 10 minutes about. So we've had different politicians locally on the show, and we get quite a bit of exposure in the real estate arena and what we do. And we have found that we don't really invite anybody on the show to support their particular. Like, I'm not gonna say, hey, I'm voting for you or I'm voting for you. I just invite people on and hope they're authentic. And then I tell people, vote for the authentic person, because, we had Sam O on our show. Sammy O locally, and really found, I know Sam prior to all this. But one of the reasons that I didn't care what he was standing for, because I knew Sam. I knew Sam as a person. I knew Sam was going to do the right moral compass idea when it was presented to him, regardless. So I guess what I'm asking for is for our audience, and quite a few people will end up seeing this. Talk to us about you, what you're running for, and what we can expect with what you're going, what moving forward.
Well, first of all, again, thank you for having me on your show. It is such a great honor and pleasure for me to be here. I am Aaron Bashir, and I'm running for U.S. Congress. And when people ask me, why are you running for Congress? I simply say, why shouldn't I be running for Congress when people are dying on the streets of Philadelphia? Last year, there were more than 562 homicides. This year, in last 10 months, there are almost 440 homicides. People are dying because of the drugs in Kensington area. They are living horrible lives, and no one is there to take care of them. Now, our school district is not performing well. I'm talking about the local issues right now. 23% performance in math, 43% reading competency in our Philadelphia school district public schools. So as a Christian, I cannot just, keep watching, keep complaining. I need to do something about it, because Jesus said, you are the light of the world. And I feel it an obligation that, I got to act, I got to do something. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing it. And also, when I see people are suffering because of high gas prices, high grocery prices, I ask myself question, what happened? Like just 2-3 years ago, everything was doing great. Economy was booming. Unemployment was at the lowest levels. And, world respected us. There were no wars, such as Ukrainian wars. And now everyone is like starting to act up. China is also trying to invade, So all those things do matter, because it affects all of our lives, whether we like it or not. But the crime rise, skyrocketing crimes in Philadelphia, catalytic converter thefts, high gas prices, high food, grocery prices, it hits us every single day, and especially when our children are lost, when they are wandering around the streets, no one is there to take care of them. They're dying on the streets. They are playing in the hands of drug dealers. As a Christian, as a believer who believes that we are the children of God and we need to spread the light in the darkness of this world, I wanted to run for Congress so I could use better policies to make lives better, to save lives better, and to make everyone's lives, you know, much better than what they are in right now. Especially, my goal is to make Philadelphia safer on the local side. That's one of my most important objectives.
So if I were to ask, as somebody that doesn't know you or does know you, how policy wise, do you have anything that's on the forefront of what you'd like to push forward to achieve those goals?
So let's start with the local issues first of all. Our DA doesn't want to prosecute crimes. That's why we have, a lot of stuff that's happening on the streets. One of the reasons because of the soft crimes policies of not only DA but the Democrats, and they are not real Democrats. I don't even like to call them Democrats because they are liberals. They are far radical leftists who are controlling the Democratic Party right now. This is not the party of Democrats anymore, because these people just have lost their mind. They wanted to defund the police in Philadelphia, where skyrocketing crimes are already making harder and harder to live everyday life. All right, they wanted to attack the gender in the name of inclusion of, uh, you know, uh, gender differences. They are eradicating and eliminating the basic institution of life and gender. They are confusing even little children in the school about the gender. They have come up with like more than 100 genders now. And I hold my head as, what are they cooking? What are they smoking? As a common sense person, and that's who I am. You know, I need to wake us, like, if we keep them letting do what they wanted to do, they want to defund the police, and we see the results: skyrocketing crimes in Philadelphia, carjackings, or catalytic converter thefts, schools not performing, people are dying on the streets, they cannot control illegal drugs, they have open borders. So that what really, really, motivates me to do something, because I believe they're not doing their job. Either they do not care or they're just incompetent. And to me, they are both, because they cannot secure the borders. That's why all these illegal drugs are flowing in our country, especially here in Philadelphia. And because of that drug issues, people are dying not only because of using drugs, but also there are gang wars, drug dealers shooting each other, and then they are swaying our little children, 15, 16, 17, 18 years kids, to their gangs. And a lot of kids who are dying on the streets, it's all like about money and drugs and gangs. That needs to be stopped. So my policies will be: I'll go tougher on crimes, I'll push harder and harder, I'll use my federal power to negotiate the deals with the local government to make sure that they go on tougher on crimes. And if they don't, then I'll hold them accountable. It's simple. Also, the second thing I want to push for is secure our borders. We got to close our borders. No home, no country can afford having the open borders. For example, you don't want to bring any strangers in your home, do you? Ryan, Ian, you guys don't want like everybody to just knock at your door and just not even knock at door, squeeze in, or sneak in from windows. And when you're sleeping, they just wanted to, hey, I just wanted to live here because I don't have any place else to go.
I wouldn't invite somebody harmful into my house, but I would take care of a stranger. I would take care of a stranger.
Right,
Yeah.
But let's say somebody is climbing your wall in the middle of night at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. What are you going to do?
Assuming he doesn't want a piece of bread at that point and a nice room to stay in, I assume it's a little something else.
I appreciate it. That's common sense, right? So that's what I'm saying. People who are trying to come into our country illegal way, it needs to be stopped because there are a lot of security risks and factors with that. For example, I was born in Pakistan, and I know there's a lot of terrorism. There are a lot of radicals who hate America because they think we are infidels, we are just pigs to them, and they will use any opportunity to kill Americans when they get a chance. All right, because they're so brainwashed. We all know about Taliban, we all know about ISIS, and they already have threatened that they will be sending their people. Wouldn't we be so naive to just keep our borders open? So, hey, door is open, come bring your guns, bring your stuff, and just come and kill us and our children. That's so stupid. It needs to be stopped. I waited like what, couple of years. My uncle waited 16 years before his turn came. My brother waited 7 years before he came. So we all went through that security clearances, backgrounds. And then I'm not against the immigration. I'm not against the legal immigration, but I am against illegal immigration and open borders. What I just discussed some open borders issues, right? And then also you need to understand something like law of economics, demand and supply. If there are more people pouring in, which our economy cannot contain, all right, if there are not enough jobs, then United States would also turn into a third world countries because what a lot of third world countries are suffering with is our population, lack of jobs, lack of economic opportunities, lack of infrastructure, lack of law and order, and it will be the same chaos here. And that's why it's important that we secure our borders. We let people come in, but with the right way, with figuring out where we need help, with the skilled workers, and with the right way, the immigrants need to sponsor their relatives, make sure that they can sponsor them, they can financially support them, and they will not be a public burden because in the end, you, I, and all the taxpayers will be paying for the food, for the shelter. And there's only so much we can afford as a country. For example, right now there's more than $1 trillion debt on the United States of America. So we are going down the hill so fast if we do not, keep up with our economy, which is already like in recession right now. We have killed our manufacturing. And thanks to Biden, what he did on the first day, that he killed our XL Keystone pipeline as well, which costed us more than 10,000 jobs. And that's also one of the reasons that we see like a lot of high gas prices because we killed our own drilling. So those are important issues. So a person with common sense like me understands very well. An average person doesn't care and is not concerned about your fancy dancy terms that you are coming up with to come up with more than 100 genders, trying to make police as your villains. What we care about is simple things. We need to buy food, we need to raise our families, and we want to feel safer and secure. So if someone is trying to hurt us, we just want to call 911. So the police could be on our doors less than 3 minutes. But in Philadelphia, now you call the police. Sometimes it takes an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours before they get to your door. And when we talk to them, they are short-staffed, they are underfunded because people don't even want to work for the police department anymore because the way they disrespect them, the way they portray them as villains of people. So why would you? A lot of police officers taking the early retirement, they're moving to suburban areas. So the city is going to a messy situation. It is a time that a person like me with common sense, takes some stand. Because when they tell me that they cannot stop illegal drugs, they cannot control crimes, they're lying. We can control the crimes, we can stop illegal drugs, and we can make sure that our school district performs well. We can be safer, we can have good jobs, we can have good life. You just need to be wise enough to figure that out. That's all.
Let me ask you as a politician, this is just kind of a question that popped in my head. So there's an element of this that is the responsibility of the elected official, but I think more importantly is the responsibility of the people to do the right thing. Because the crime is up, but that doesn't make somebody good. Just because crime is up or crime is down doesn't change somebody from a decent individual to not a decent individual in the way they treat their neighbor, right? And being a Christian, you would agree that treat your neighbor as you would treat, yourself, right? So,
absolutely.
we were just talking about earlier on the show, actually, the 10 Commandments came up. I said, this would be a whole lot easier. We wouldn't even need elected officials if we all just went by the 10 Commandments. And I'm not a Christian. I'm not even religious, but it's a great set of rules to live by. So I guess my question is, do you feel, I feel like politically you have an extreme situation. You had Trump in office prior, and it brought out a very polarizing effect in the nation. And then now you have Biden, and it's swung the other way, right? The pendulum just swung the other way. And you have the left has become extremely pervasive in their view. Do you find yourself in the middle where maybe you give the people back their, people have the power? Like, it's like, yeah, elect me. I want to do what is best for this nation, but people have responsibility to themselves and to their neighbor as well. Do you see yourself as more in the middle? Do you see yourself more as we need an extreme situation here? How do you view yourself in that running?
Well, Ian, our country is in crisis right now. And the biggest thing that you can do is, the worst thing that you can do during the crisis is deny that you're in crisis. So our country is in crisis because skyrocketing crimes, inflation, high grocery prices, high gas prices, open borders, all right? Internationally, we are not being respected and recognized as we used to be. So we are in crisis. So let's get back to the moral compass now. Throughout my public statements, and there are a couple of articles that have been published in Northeast Times as well, I'm a strong advocate of teaching the morals, the values, and ethics, and especially the universal values, the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt honor your father and mother. They're important. Those commandments need to be taught. And this is one of the reasons why our school district is not performing, because they wanted to give out condoms to the kids. They wanted to teach the kids to just call 911 on their parents. They wanted to teach like all the other crazy stuff, but not the real stuff, that there is a God. And you got to show respect to your neighbors. You got to show respect to your parents. You got to respect to authorities. That's what's missing in the school district. I'm a strong advocate for teaching that. Now, also wanted to expand something further. Someone said beautifully, I do not remember the name, but they said, like, the good people don't need the laws to behave better or behave well, right? But the bad people always need the laws because they are gonna to break the laws. So let me just be clearing something. Laws are not really made for good people, because good people are still gonna to do the good stuff. The laws are made to control the behavior of the bad people. And let me tell you, these laws are targeted to hold people accountable that are not pulling their weight in the society. And a lot of times, these are the people who keep repeating the same behavior. All right. So those people need to be behind the bars. They need to be in jails if they cannot live peaceful in society. For example, I was speaking to an officer, police officer, like 2 weeks ago when we were doing door knocking. And this is what he says. He says, like, we arrest people, and when they go to court, sometimes these lenient judges, they just let them go. And he gave us a real life example. He said, we arrested 2 guys. We put the charges, and they went to court, and then these leftist judges let them out. And then the very same people, within the next couple of months, they shot 3 people. They should not have been on the streets. So what I'm just trying to tell you, when they tell us that, we don't need tougher law enforcement, they are lying, because you see the results. If their softer policy on law enforcement had worked, you wouldn't see 562 murders last year, 440 murders this year, more than 1,000 of carjackings this year, just right. So that means their policies are failing. And that's why I do not believe that we need to elect them anymore. I'm a conservative Christian. I'm running because I'm passionate about it. I care because I feel that my obligation, that I need to make a positive difference. I need to pick up some things to make sure that people are not dying on the streets. People are not suffering because of the drugs. And there is accountability for people who break the law. And that way everyone can improve the quality of life, live peacefully, and have a happy life.
Simple enough.
Dream.
Simple, right? If it would be easier, if it was just all simple. So I really appreciate you coming on the show today. And now, if people, when do they vote, and how do they vote, and how do they, they check your name off? So tell us where to be.
Well, you can vote on November the 8th, Tuesday. If you have done that in mail-in ballot, you can do that. So whatever you feel comfortable with, but please do vote. And I would say, please don't vote for the same people that you have elected before. For example, for last 60 years, this city has been controlled by leftists, liberal Democrats. Don't vote for them because they cannot make your life better. I'm a minority. I understand that. When they play the card of color, when they play the card of racism, they're just trying to deceive you. But in reality, they just wanted to be elected. For last 60 years, things are not moving better. Our school district is going worse and worse. Crime rate keeps going up and up. So think beyond the party lines. Think beyond, loyalty to the party. Your loyalty is to you and your family. You wanted to feel safer on the streets. You don't want to pay high prices on the food and gas. And I'm your guy, Aaron Bashir. Please vote for me, and I'll make sure that I'll do anything in my power to make your life easier. So you do not worry when you're walking down on the streets of Philadelphia. You feel safer. You do not pay high prices for the gas and the food and the groceries. And I wanted to make sure that your kids are getting the education in the schools that you need. You should have a choice. You should have a say in the education of your children, not some bureaucrats and not the school board, 7 people making the decisions for your children to change the gender, to teach the values that you do not believe in. Thank you so much. Please vote for me. I really appreciate it. I'm Aaron Bashir, running for Congress in Philadelphia. And that's what I'm looking for. God bless you all, and God bless America.
Perfect. Think beyond the party lines. I like that. I like that statement. So good statement. And Aaron, thank you so much for being on, and good luck.
Thank you for having me. Take care.